Blacks in Technology.
Blacks in technology. Blacks in technology. Blacks in technology. Blacks in technology. Blacks in technology.
Welcome everybody to the 68th episode of the Blacks in Technology Bit Tech Talk podcast. This is kind of out of order. This is episode 68, but we're actually up to number 72. But we had some equipment malfunctions last time we did this podcast. And so we are redoing this podcast. So welcome to the revisit of podcast 68. I'm your host this evening, Greg Greenlee. I don't have a co-host this evening, so it's just me. If this is your first time listening, you can check us out the following URLs. Check us out at www.blacksintechnology.net. We are a community of over close to 1,700 Black tech professionals, students, enthusiasts. You can also check us out on the Twitters. We are at Black in Technology. That's BLKINTECHNOLOGY. Check us out on Facebook. That's facebook.com/Blacks in Technology. We also have a LinkedIn group also under the name Blacks in Technology. And if you are on Twitter right now, you have questions for our guests, you can tweet them using the hashtag BitTechTalk. That's BITTECHTALK. Blacks in Technology is a tech-focused community and media organization focused on increasing diversity in technology. We're always focused on forming new partnerships and opportunities to assist our members with their continued professional growth and development. So if you want to partner with us, send us an email to partnerships@blacksintechnology.net. Any general inquiries, you can send us an email to info@blacksintechnology.net. And if you'd like to sponsor a podcast, send us an email to sponsorship@blacksintechnology.net. A couple of announcements. I am heading out west to Portland, Oregon Sunday, and I will be there for the Closure West conference that's going to be going on. And we are going to have a bit luncheon at the Paragon. So there are details up on the site right now. Our luncheon is from 11:45 to 1 o'clock p.m. So come on out, join us, have fun. And if you're at the even if you don't attend the Closure West conference, come join us for a luncheon anyhow. You don't have to actually be an attendee to the conference to be a part of the luncheon. So we'd like to see you join us. Also, we are going to be having a meetup at the Self Conference on May 29th at, I'm pretty sure it's going to be 6 p.m. We're going to have a room there at the Motor City Casino. The Self Conference is going on May 29th to the 30th, and Blacks in Technology will also be represented there. We'll be holding a meetup. We're seeking sponsors for this meetup, so check out the details on blacksintechnology.net site. And what else? I think that's about it. So I think we're going to go ahead. I think our guest just joined us, so I'm going to give you a little bit background information about our guest. Our guest tonight is Sian Morson. She is an entrepreneur, a mobile evangelist, a designer, and an author. In 2010, Sian founded Collective Mobile to help other businesses and startups with mobile development and strategy. She currently oversees operations and leads all business development and strategic efforts. Collective Mobile works primarily with startups and agencies to develop and deliver compelling mobile experience. She's a seasoned digital professional, and she has led Collective Mobile and mobile strategic work for high-profile clients to deliver large web and mobile builds and campaigns for popular brands. She also is a lecturer, and she speaks at conferences, universities, and symposiums worldwide, including South by Southwest, Mode Dev UX, and the University of Ohio. We're going to get into that, and I want to welcome to the show once again, Sian Morson. Hey, Sian, how you doing?
Hey, Greg. Going well here.
Excellent, excellent. You know, last time we had some malfunctions on my side. I had we did a whole entire podcast, and then it was like all static when we got ready to publish it. Yeah, it was kind of embarrassing. I found out that network latency and trying to do a podcast don't work well together, so had to get a new modem. Yeah, exactly. Had to get a new. That, you know what? The modem I had was pretty old. It was like 8 or 9 years old, and it was probably on its last leg. And after that podcast, I buckled down. I said, "Hey, it's time. I gotta get a new modem and get things working. I'm doing important stuff here. I can't have equipment malfunction. So, happy to have you back. And I'm actually glad we had this kind of time lapse in between the podcast, because at first I was like, oh, let's try to shoot for next week. But it's actually better because now it seems like this is fresh once again, and it would be hard to kind of recreate, that podcast 1 week after.
It would.
Yeah. So it's good. So how have you been doing?
I've been good. I've been busy as usual, trying to stay out of trouble. But yeah, busy is good. Busy is good. So sorry, say again?
Are you now in in Oakland right now?
I'm back in Oakland. Yes.
Excellent. I know last time we talked, you were in Oakland, but I think you were coming back from Atlanta, from being out there.
Correct. Yes, exactly. So my feet are firmly planted back in Oakland, and kind of hit the ground running. So just sort of, things move really fast out here. So I had to do a little bit of catch up, but now I'm back in the flow of things. So I'm pleased to be back.
Excellent. Shout out to all of our Oakland comrades, especially Ayuri, if she's listening.
I saw Ayuri recently at the Lesbians Who Tech Summit, actually.
Really?
So, yes. She was on the panel right before mine. She is everywhere. She's definitely doing a lot of great work. So it was good to run into her.
Nice. So now, on to you. And the first question, the most common question that we always ask our guests is, how'd you get your start in technology?
I started in technology as a project manager at ad agencies, and that was probably when I first started working with technology. I did have some brief encounters when I was younger. None of those really stuck. I remember doing some basic coding on a Commodore computer way back when, but I moved on. I went to film school, and I got my master's in electronic arts. So I've been kind of dabbling and doing a lot of different things, but it really wasn't until I had to manage technical projects that I really thought, oh, hey, it's time to really learn about this. So I think that would probably qualify as when I really started to take technology seriously. It was a good way for me to learn about it, because as a project manager, you're managing the team, but you also need to learn how to communicate with the team. So it behooves you to learn as much about what they're doing as possible. And so that was actually really great exposure, not just to technology, because I was managing the technical team, but I was also managing the creative team, right? So it's kind of like a really, really good way for me to immerse myself in a little bit of everything. So that was how I first sort of came upon it.
So how'd you actually get started in project management? What was that journey like?
A little intimidating, because I didn't, I came into it as a person who sort of likes to manage other people. And so I think that's probably my sense of order and organization kind of got me that job. But to be 100% frank, I didn't know anything about real technical project management. I just knew that I had a really good rapport with people. I was really organized, and I knew how to, schedule stuff and make stuff happen. And so I think I talked my way into that job, and then I gradually started to learn more about actual project management but I learned as I was doing it, right? I had no idea what Microsoft Project was back then. I didn't know how to create a schedule. So you just kind of, you dive in at the deep end and you learn as you go. So.
Wow. I mean, that must have been a pretty good, I guess, experience to have, because some people they go up against, not having experience, so they don't get the job, and where in your case it sounds like, you kind of got an opportunity to get the job and then kind of learn while you were actually doing. So
I did, and I think I was pretty fortunate in that respect. Yeah. I don't know if people are still doing that these days. I also think that the craft of project management has also evolved. So I think it would be fairly difficult at this point to just talk your way into a project management job if you really didn't understand project management. So,
gotcha.
I do think that I was lucky in that respect, and I was really able to learn about it while I was doing it. And so that's lucky for sure.
Nice. So tell us about Collective Mobile. When did you found the company? What does it do, and what's your role there?
Founded the company in 2010 after I felt as though my evolution in advertising had come to an end. Really, I had. Like I said, I started as a project manager, but I think when I left advertising, I was like director of mobile development or something like that. So I gradually worked my way from project manager to, I think, senior project manager, and then director of interactive, and then product manager, and then was actually managing a small subsidiary of a larger agency that was tasked with building mobile apps. And so mobile was something that sort of I was exposed to while I was living in London, and I was really just sort of blown away by what people were doing on their phones there, and I was completely obsessed with it. And then the iPhone came out, and that just kind of, I went down that rabbit hole. And I was pretty convinced that mobile was going to take off. I was pretty convinced that it was going to change the way that we do everything. And so that became apparent in the work that I was doing, but then I really sort of wanted to do it for myself because I guess I've always had a bit of an entrepreneurial spirit, so that sort of drove me to start Collective Mobile in 2010. And I did that and just sort of tapped some of my former employees, joined me on this journey, and some of them did. And so we started fairly small, and so pretty pleased that we're still around. Certainly, I think the landscape has changed a lot, but so we've I think we're going into our 5th year, which is great, actually.
Congratulations.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Thank you.
So your company builds mobile sites for other companies? Is that kind of the gist of what you all do?
Correct. So we build mobile apps and sites for hire. Pretty much, anybody that needs it, we work with. I think typically our business is slanted mostly towards other ad agencies, larger agencies, and startups, and that's probably because of where we're located that we're getting a lot of interest from startups. I think as of late, I would say maybe the last 6 months or so, it's been taking a shift back to just regular businesses because, as your website actually has to be mobile optimized now. I think we were trying to sell people on that for the last couple of years, and they were not. They were like, it's not that big of a deal. But now, actually, Google is starting to penalize people who don't have their sites optimized for mobile. So it seems as though that's been shifting the tide back into our favor. So we are now doing quite a bit more web development in terms of optimizing mobile sites, optimizing sites for mobile, which is good. Because I think initially we started. Sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead. Go ahead and finish.
I was saying initially when we started, we were doing more native app development and less web development, but now it's sort of 50-50 now, I would say.
Gotcha. So for those who aren't aware of what mobile optimization is for your website, just kind of explain what that entails.
I think that the first thing I would say is look at your site on a mobile device. That's the first step to mobile optimization, and see how your site is appearing on a mobile site. Is it easy to read? Does your site change, right? When you look at it on your desktop, does it look one way, and then does it sort of adjust depending on what you're looking at on it as? If it doesn't do that, and if it just pretty much stays in the same format and it doesn't shift and it's not legible on your mobile device, then it's likely not optimized for mobile. I think it's very easy to tell if a site is optimized for mobile or not. You just really have to pull it up on a mobile device. And so what we do is that's actually the first selling point, is we have the client look at their site on a mobile device and ask them to interact with it and ask them what that experience is like for them. Because typically we know that when people get to your site from a mobile device, they're ready to take an action. So they're ready to either find out where you are if they could visit, or they're ready to make a purchase. And oftentimes as well, if your site is not optimized for mobile, then they will leave. So if your site isn't loading quickly, they'll leave. If they can't read it, they'll leave. If they can't figure out where you're located, they'll leave. And so these are some of the things that we talk to clients about, especially clients who are doing business from their website. And so the next step then is to really sort of talk about what the needs are of a mobile user, because when you're sitting down on your laptop and you're accessing a site, your needs and your wants are slightly different from when you're accessing it from your mobile device. So you could be walking down the street, you could be, on BART or on the train, but chances are that you're on the go. And so your needs from a website are going to be slightly different then. So we try to walk the client through all of those things and figure out what the needs are, and then we sort of bubble those up for the mobile user. So that means making sure that the site will load quickly, depending on, oftentimes a user may or may not be on Wi-Fi when they're on their phone. So if I'm only on a 3G connection, I still need your site to load in less than, 5 or 10 seconds, just like it would if I'm on Wi-Fi. So that means going through and optimizing images, changing the design if need be to make it more mobile friendly, and making sure that all of the pertinent information is where the customer needs that to be on the site. So those are some of the steps of mobile optimization that we would take with a prospective client.
Nice. So what's the average time from when a customer, say, walks in through your front door and says, "Hey, I need my site, optimized for mobile phones," to the end result? How long does that usually?
It varies. It really depends on what's going on with the site. If it's a very simple site, we can knock that out in about a week or two. But if it's more complex, then obviously it takes a little longer. And it also depends on how ready the customer is. Sometimes people will say, yeah, I need this done, but, they're not ready to really make that change, right? So it's the same thing that happens when you tell people that you create apps, and everybody wants to talk to you about their idea for an app, but nobody really is ready to build the app, right? Because they haven't really thought it through. They haven't thought through how the app's going to work. They haven't thought through how the app's going to look.
Exactly.
And most importantly, they're probably not ready to make the financial investment that it takes to build that app either. So, there's a vetting process and a filtering process that has to take place, right?
Gotcha. Yeah, definitely, definitely. And you know what's and I met you I think in 2012. I would around that time. Is that there's out a lot of talk on the internet and everywhere about uh, startups and black entrepreneurs
Mhm.
and it's rare, and I don't know if this is by design from you, but I rarely see your name pop up, and I never understood why. Like like you're a woman of color who has started a thriving and prosperous business in technology, but I never hear your name. I never hear your name, and I don't know
I
why
don't
that
know.
is. That
I mean, I don't know. I mean, I think there are people who do know about me.
oh yeah,
I
definitely.
think, yeah, but I don't know. It's. I guess I
Gotcha.
don't know. I don't have an answer. I don't. I don't have an
That's
answer
good.
to that. I
I
think
was
that
just I was just curious. I hear other people,
Mhm.
and I hear and also hear there's a lack of which there is people of color who are entrepreneurs and run a tech
Mhm.
business.
Mhm.
And every time I'm always thinking like, how come I never hear Sean's name? I never see your name up there with anybody's, and I never understood why. Anyhow, just
Yeah,
something
I
that
don't
crossed my
know.
mind.
I'm doing the work. I'm here.
Definitely, definitely. So you also you lecture and speak at various events. So how did you actually get into speaking, and how do you go? What's your ritual? How do you go about tackling the speaking engagement?
Well, I started. Well, speaking is always something that I have wanted to do, but I have, and when I tell people this, they often don't believe me. But I was notoriously shy. When I was younger, I was really really shy. I did not like to talk to people, did not want to talk to people, and just didn't have any interest in engaging to some degree. But two things. I had to push myself to get out of that comfort zone. So,
Mhm.
the more that I worked as a project manager, the more I had to engage with people, right? And the further up you go, you have to start giving presentations. You have to start, talking to larger groups of people. That always made me uncomfortable, and so I figured that, especially as someone who has her own business, it's important for me to sort of shake that. And so I pursued speaking opportunities, but to really sort of help me get out of, being shy and nervous and just to kind of like push myself as far out of my comfort zone as possible. And it's helped tremendously. I mean, I'm not going to say that I don't get nervous before I speak, but once you get into the flow of it, you really
Right.
kind of get to go with it. And in terms of my ritual, I actually think we talked about this the last time. So my ritual hasn't changed. It's what I do is I start with bullet points, and I also start with images. And so the images will also kind of lead me to figure out what it is I want to say. And once I figure out what I want to say, I sort of record it into my iPhone, and then I'll go for a run or go for a walk and listen to it until I understand and I can just sort of memorize it off the top of my head. And then I add the
Right.
emotion, and the pauses so that it's conversational as opposed to, you're just kind of reading it off a placard, right? So that's more or less my ritual if I do have to speak in front of a large group.
Yeah, I
try to
would
be
have
as
never.
prepared as possible.
Yeah, I would have never expected that you were anywhere near shy at all.
Yeah, definitely. But you move through it,
Yeah.
I mean, it's hard to be shy when you run your own business, you just, it is, it's difficult. And so I have to get past it.
Yeah, you do have to talk to people when you when you're
Whether you want to or not.
Yeah, you can't get past that for some reason.
Exactly.
Excellent. Excellent. Where have you been speaking at? And do you have any speaking engagements coming up?
Let's see. What was the last place? I didn't speak at South by this year.
Were you there? Did you go to South by?
I was there. Yes, I was there. It was actually a little bit of a relief not to speak. I think this year was the first year that I didn't speak, and so it was a bit of a relief. I felt like I could just go and really sort of enjoy the conference, and just kind of hang out and not have to worry. Because for me anyway, if I have to speak, that sort of dominates everything, and I want to make sure that I'm prepared, and I just, become a little obsessive about that. So it was good not to have that pressure. I think this year so far, I've done a virtual conference, which was interesting. A startup called Black Star Media, and they had an inclusive dev conference, and I spoke at that. I hosted a panel at the Lesbians Who Tech Summit, and I spoke at, there's an organization that works with women social entrepreneurs called Girl Tank, and they had a sort of a collaborative event with Sephora, and I spoke there. And then in May, I'm supposed to be speaking at a conference on Afrofuturism at the New School in New York. I was supposed to be at MoDev UX last month, but I was actually too busy to make it. But I did co-chair the event and participate in helping to get speakers there. So that was fun, but I didn't actually attend. So.
Excellent. And you also, I think a couple of years back, you were also doing some was it teaching?
So yeah, that was fun. That was my first foray into academia and education. But it was something that I'd had on my list of things that I would like to try, and luckily enough, the opportunity literally fell into my lap, and I was asked to come and teach a mobile module at Ohio University, and it was awesome. It was terrifying because one of the classes had 400 kids in it, and that was pretty scary. I mean, that was very intimidating. I can't say that I ever got used to doing that, but it was great. I got to go out to Ohio. I'd never been to Ohio, and I got to, be on campus every day, and it was great. I really, really, really enjoyed it. And so I helped them to basically refine the mobile module that they were teaching, and so now they're sharing that with other universities around the country, which is excellent.
Oh, wow.
So I'm really excited that I got the opportunity to do that.
Yeah, that's actually the Ohio University is the college my daughter was attending a couple of years ago, and I think it was through Facebook that I found out you were actually out there. I was like, I'd actually had just been out there like a week before.
Wow.
Yeah, and that's in Athens, Ohio. It's about 2.5 hours east of Cincinnati, so it's like it's not in like a city. Or I guess Athens.
No,
it's not. No.
It's
more like a
small college town. Yes,
exactly. But the campus there is beautiful.
It was beautiful, and yeah, I think it was great for me too because I grew up in New York City and I went to NYU, so I didn't get the opportunity to sort of like go away to college. And New York University is the campus is the city, so you don't really get that experience like you've gone anywhere if you grew up in the city. It's just like, I'm going downtown. I'm going to school, So it was great just to be able to be on campus, and it's a really old campus, and it was snowing, and it was just fantastic. It was great. I really enjoyed it.
Excellent. So recently, you also you also became an author, and you've got a book published called Learn Design for iOS. Tell us what the motivation was behind writing that book.
Well, another one of those things that I had on my list that I wanted to do. And the opportunity.
You were just checking things off.
I did, exactly, you know.
You were checking it off.
See, that project management, right, comes in handy. You make a list, make sure you get it done.
Right.
But, yeah, it was something that I always wanted to do. I didn't know necessarily what I was going to write about. And actually, I met the guys from A-Press at South by, actually, a few years ago. And I stopped by their booth, and I saw their books, and I just casually threw out, hey, you know, if you guys are interested in a book on, you know, iOS or anything, let me know. And I gave them my card, and I took their card, and I just left. Didn't think anything would come of it. And I think about a year and a half later, I got an email from one of the guys. He was an editor, and he was like, hey, I think we want to move forward. And I think one of the editors from the company happened to be coming to the Bay Area, so I met up with him, and we talked, and I basically pitched the idea for the book. It was right before iOS 7 was officially released, so I was sort of playing around with the pre-release version of iOS 7, the developer version, and thought that because it would sort of change the design language for iOS, it would make a good book. And so they agreed, and they signed me on. It was a very good experience, harrowing, but definitely rewarding.
Yeah, tell us a little bit about what it's like to write a book. What is that?
Well,
I
can tell you what it was like to write this book. I'm sure that I'm sure Stephen King has a different story to tell, because I'm sure he gets big advances and as much time as he wants. But working, part of the reason why it was so challenging for me was everything was sort of in my head, and I wasn't used to sort of translating that to the written word. So I could tell you how to do this, and I could show you how to do it, but writing how to do it is a whole different, it's a whole different way of putting things together. And so I had to, after I pitched the idea for the book, then we had to break the subject matter down into unique chapters, and then really sort of step back and take an instructional tone, which was different for me to do. Because, like I said, I'm used to being the project manager and either just telling people what to do and how to do it, but writing about it is different. And so you really need people to be able to follow along. So it was definitely a learning experience for me. It was challenging as well because I was on a really tight schedule. They really wanted the book to be published by the end of the year. So the book should have been, they wanted the book on Amazon by December, and I started writing I think in August or September, and I had to deliver a chapter every single week. And I think that just about drove me crazy because it was, I was up until all hours writing, and then submitting stuff, and then you would get stuff back from your editor. So you're editing one chapter, but you're also writing a new chapter at the same time. And it was a lot. It was a lot, but nothing is ever going to beat you getting that box with those books with your name on it after everything, right? It's the most amazing experience ever. So, I swore up and down that I would never, ever do it again, but I'm writing another book. Yeah, I signed on to do another book. So, this past South by, I met up with the managing director of A-Press, who was in town, and we met up and we talked, and I, talked about another idea that I had for another book. So it looks like that's going to be happening as well. So hopefully I get a little more time to write this one, but
Right.
I don't know. I can't make any promises.
How do you stay focused when writing? I always tend to, whenever I'm writing anything, whether it's a blog post for Blacks in Technology or anything, I always tend to be super long-winded. Like, it just too much spills out, and then I'm like, next thing you know, I'm immersed in just a spaghetti of words, and it's just like, oh, what was I talking about here? And the next thing you know, it's everywhere. How do you stay? Or is that the best way to just let it all spill out and then go back and you trim it up?
You know what? I have the exact opposite problem, Greg. I am always very succinct. And so, in fact, when I was writing my book, they would send back my chapters and tell me that they were too short. And I was like, well, but that's how you do it. Boom, boom, boom. They were like, no. You got to elaborate. You have to walk people through the process. So I have the exact opposite problem. I tend to get right to the point, and then wow. I always have to go back and add more flowery language to sort of fill things out. So staying focused is not a problem for me. I just want to get it done.
Gotcha. So you also you're an advisor for a couple of startup companies. One of them is called CAST, where you're actually the CEO of that one. Tell us a little bit about right. CAST. What's the concept behind that?
The concept behind CAST is it was actually born out of my personal experience of when I moved to Atlanta, because I moved to Atlanta and my skin just couldn't handle it. I broke out like a prepubescent child. It was horrible, and I couldn't figure out. Right? Oh, the humidity, the heat. I just didn't know how to adjust. It certainly was different from the climate in the Bay Area. And then the interesting thing was I was in Ohio for a couple of weeks, and my skin totally cleared up. And so I was like, it was actually while I was in Ohio that I thought maybe there's something to the weather and how it affects skin and hair. And so I started to do some research on it. And of course, yes, heat and humidity affect your skin and affects your hair, et cetera, et cetera. So the idea behind CAST is that it is basically it provides personalized beauty recommendations for women based on their unique skin and hair profile, but also on the weather.
Wow.
Yeah.
So how do you go about putting an app like that together? Like, how do you? I'm guessing, like, how do you get enough information about different skin types, different hair types, how those skin types and things like that are affected by the weather in order to put together a packaged app?
Well, you'd be surprised. There's a lot of information out there about how skin affects, how the weather affects skin and hair. It's well documented. So what I did was I put together a control group of about 50 women, and I just recruited these women from online, friends, people all over the country, and just asked them to help me test the application, because it's all great when it works for you and you think you have a great idea, but if nobody thinks it's a great idea, then you're kind of SOL. So I got a group of women together, and I enlisted their help in really sort of testing the app to make sure that it worked, that it was an interesting concept, and that the stuff that we were recommending to them made sense. And I got a lot of great feedback. And I learned that, especially when a lot of people put out products for women without ever talking to women. And it's funny because women have so much to say about, things like that, like their skin and their hair. It's a very personal thing. And so I think if you just ask, people actually do talk to you and give you a lot of feedback. So I got tons and tons of feedback from women, from those 50 women that I've been testing the app with. And so I think we're going forward with our first iteration. We're probably going to have that in the Google. Ironically, we're going Android first because we ran into some problems with iOS, but we'll probably be in the Google App Store next week with iOS to follow shortly after then. Yeah.
Definitely be on the lookout for that. Then let us know. We Blacks in Technology is always looking to help shine or give some visibility to whatever you're doing. So
excellent. I'll pick you up on that.
Yeah, definitely.
Thank you.
So you're also a part of the Africa Angels Network.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about your role in that, and about some of the startups that you're helping.
Yeah, my role primarily with the African Angel Network is one of a mentor to a couple of startups on the continent, and kind of jumped at the opportunity to do that because I think that the general perception of Africa and the continent is just, I don't even know what the general perception is. It's just not one of, hey, there are technical things happening there. I think so many of us haven't really traveled outside of the country that we have these weird sort of notions. And I honestly believe that Africa is ripe for innovation, especially when you see what's happening over there in terms of mobile. So I was super excited to jump on board and partner up with Kule, who is the founder, and just jump on as a mentor and an advisor to some of the startups. And so one of the startups that I'm most passionate about is Wabona, which means, I think, look, see. And they're basically Netflix for Africa. They actually take content that they gather from multiple different sources, and they digitize it and offer it on a mobile platform so people can watch on their phones. And they have tons of challenges because, bandwidth is a problem and all of that stuff. But they were actually, last I talked to them, they were working on redesigning the app and really sort of upgrading their platform. So they're doing great. They're doing great. And I'm really excited to be a part of that and actually looking to do not only more advising, but probably do some investing actually here as well for some, for startups as well. So I think that's sort of whet my appetite, and I'd love to do more of that.
Excellent. And that's I'm actually on their site right now. Wabona.com.
Oh, you are?
Is their site. Yeah, I'm checking it out now. That's pretty cool. Yeah, and it's funny that you mentioned that about Africa because I think it was maybe a couple of years ago. I had gotten something in the email, and it was basically talking about. It might have been from Iori, actually. It was talking about the technology boom that's going on over there, especially in terms of mobile, like you mentioned. But it was also talking about like the rising middle class families over there, and it was kind of, I was kind of shocked by it myself. Not that I thought Africa was like some backwards type country or anything like that. I just had no idea. I guess at the levels of which they were actually taking things as far as technology and things like that. So I was actually pleased to hear that.
Yeah.
And a lot of people are talking about Africa now. I know we've had some discussions on Blacks in Technology Forum about investing in Africa or there's actually a post right now that just got up there today. Oh,
wow.
Yeah, about investing in Africa. It's kind of I know that the person who posted this had actually posted something probably months ago about Africa, and so this is kind of a rehash, and he posted a link about Africa and about how their technology business opportunities over there. So excellent. So what advice would you offer others that may want to get started in the world of digital mobile dev and strategy.
Just
If somebody else wanted to,
I will
do
say
it.
this. I would say just do it. I mean, look, education. You can find out about anything these days, right? So educate yourself, arm yourself with the knowledge, and do it. What I will say specifically, though, about mobile development, just in the 5 years that we have been in business, I've seen sort of like a shift. I think that initially it was fairly easy to kind of get clients, and I think now that everybody is understanding that mobile is the thing, I think now everybody's saying that they can do mobile. And so if you're really going to say that you can do mobile, really understand it. You know what I mean? I think that what I'm hearing on my end is I'm hearing lots of stories from clients who go to people who don't know what they're doing. And, they're coming back with spaghetti code and apps that work partly and don't work partly. And so I think that do your due diligence before you really sign on with someone, and do your due diligence if you're going to sort of take someone's business into your hand and say that you know what you're doing. Just make sure that you really do know what you're doing.
Excellent. So what's next for you? What's on your agenda, on your checklist? What are you checking off next?
I don't know. I like to keep those things under my hat because I feel like if you talk too much about them, then you end up not doing them. But I think in the immediate future is I actually have to write this next book. So I'm imagining that I would have to get started on that fairly soon.
No, just let it sit around. It'll write itself.
Yeah, I think A-Press is going to come knocking pretty soon to say, hey, where's that book? So I might want to start that this summer. And just really, and CAT is also big on my list. I need to really kind of get that out there. So once we're in the App Store, then, we'll see what happens with that. And really just sort of figuring out what to do with Collective Mobile as well. How are we going to remain competitive in the mobile landscape after 5 years of building apps and websites, right? So I think there's some strategic thinking there. And I want to get back to doing some creative stuff. I used to make videos, and I haven't done that in a while, so I might want to get back to doing something a little more creative.
So are you a movie or a film buff? Do you enjoy watching movies? And
I enjoy watching movies. I went to film school, so that is the work that I do isn't necessarily narrative. It's more sort of abstract, more like video art. But I would like to get back to doing more of that because it's been quite some time. And so I've kind of have some ideas for some work that plays around with, the intersection of art and technology. So I'd love to continue to explore that if I can find the time.
So what right now, this is something that's, a little bit away from a script. What are your top 3 movies that you want to see right now?
That I haven't seen?
Yeah, that you haven't seen, that you want to see.
I've seen pretty much everything that I don't know. Let me think about it.
What about your top 3 movies that you've seen?
Of all time?
Let's say recently. Some favorites.
Recently?
Yeah.
I enjoyed Selma. Okay. I think I saw that about 3 times, and I saw Ava DuVernay speak at South by, so that was great. I love her style of filmmaking. I love her style of storytelling. I also enjoyed Birdman. I thought that was pretty well.
And that's the one with Michael Keaton, right?
Yes.
Okay, I'll have to check that one out. And Selma. I actually haven't seen Selma yet.
What?
Yeah, no, it's terrible, right?
We should talk about that. I'm not going to turn the table and interview you, but I'd like to. I will say that I'll name this movie not because it was good. I actually thought it was really bad, but I had to watch it because I'm a big Ten Commandments fan. So I had to watch Exodus, Gods and Kings because I had to see what Ridley Scott did with the plagues. But all in all, it was a horrible film. I mean, I still think the original Ten Commandments is, one of the greatest films ever made. It's just epic in scale, and I mean, Charlton Heston as Moses, So, Exodus, Gods and Kings, you can miss it because I suffered through it for you, but
okay.
Yeah.
Because I had actually no plans. I've actually got the movie, but I have not watched it. I actually have no plans on watching it. But I might watch it just to see how it tears. Sometimes I like train wrecks. Like, for instance, like there's like movies like Baby Boy. If you've ever seen Baby Boy, it's horrible.
A friend of mine chastised me because I've never seen Baby Boy.
Yeah, you don't want to see it, but. To me, it's a horrible movie, but every time it's on TV, I will watch it.
Really? I feel that way about Dumb and Dumber.
Dumb and Dumber is better, by the way.
It's what?
It's better than, much better.
I'm a big fan of the original Dumb and Dumber. Truth be told, I can watch. That's my movie where whenever it's on, I just have to watch it. And I still laugh. It's sad but true.
Yeah, Baby Boy. It borders. It some of the lines in that movie just is borderline just ridiculous, and you're just like, really, come on, you really. But I watch it every time. Every time.
Okay, well, I don't have to put it on my list of things to watch.
Don't say I didn't warn you.
You did warn me, but now I'm curious, right?
But my favorite movie right now is Interstellar.
I tried. I got to
the
sandstorm, and I couldn't get any further. And I've been told by pretty much everybody that I know that it's an excellent movie, and I just was like, ugh. But you know what? I'm going to try again. Just for you. Again. I'm going to try.
Well, that's two disappointments there, right there. Well, if you get through Interstellar, if you get through a whole 3 hours of Interstellar,
God.
yeah, then
it's rewarding in the end.
Yeah, I think so. Anyhow.
Okay.
But there's a lot of science and tech involved in it, which I thought was super cool. Yeah. Okay. But it also it takes that and it intertwines the idea of love transcending science and technology and all that stuff. So actually, it turns it into a real nice. It's not a love story, but it turns into a real nice story between the relationship between the father and the daughter. So it comes out pretty good.
Oh, okay. All right. Noted. I'm going to give it another try, Greg.
Okay. All right. All right. So before we let you go ahead and give us how people can follow you, how they can check out your site, Collective Mobile, Cast, all that stuff.
All right. So my personal site is samoymorson.com. I'm on Twitter as Sian Morson, SIAN MORSON. Collective Mobile is at collectivemobile.com. On Twitter, it's Collective Mobile without the E at the end. And Cast. Sorry?
No, and that's with the K. Collective Mobile with
Correct.
the K, not the C.
Yes. Thank you for that. I should have said that. I just assumed that everybody knows. But yes, Collective with a K. And Cast is at castlife.co. And it's castmob with a K on Twitter. We need to change that, actually. But that's what it is right now. So I would greatly appreciate if you guys checked out the cast website and followed us on Twitter as well.
Excellent. Well, definitely. And when you release the mobile app, definitely give us a holler, and we'll definitely help you promote that.
I most certainly will. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, and thank you for joining us again.
No problem.
Yeah, we had fun. Again, it was like like I said before, I'm glad that we have this time in between, because now it seemed like it made everything.
It's a whole new thing.
Yeah, right. Well, thanks a lot, Sean, and we wish you well in the future, and definitely wish you well on your book. And
thank you, Greg.
The book, definitely check back in with us, and we'll help you promote that as well.
Thank you. I appreciate it, and best to you as well.
All right. Take care.
Okay. Good night.
Bye. That is it for this episode of the Blacks in Technology Bit Tech Talk podcast. So definitely want to thank our guest, Sian Morson. Thank you to all our listeners who listened in this evening. And join us in 2 weeks where we'll be talking to Dr. Damon Williams of Boys and Girls Club of America. He is going to be talking about their new technology initiative called My.Future. And that's going to be on April 30th, same Bit Tech Talk time, same Bit Tech Talk channel. So join us then. Stay tuned for more exciting Bit Tech Talk episodes to come. And remember, tech yourself before you wreck yourself. Take care and have a good night.
Blacks in Technology.
Blacks in technology. Blacks in technology. Blacks in technology. Blacks in technology. Blacks in technology.